What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Got my best man Carrie here. We're about to replace a radiator after I did some idiotic stuff. When you take some stuff apart and put it back together, make sure that you plug everything back in the way it's supposed to. That's supposed to be your main fan. That's your AC fan. Since I don't have AC, I put it all back together after throwing some dielectric grease on there, and I started overheating, wondering why, and then, you know, hey, self-caused problems. I don't have to replace the radiator. I don't have to really replace anything, but since I ordered the parts, I'm going to. So me and Carrie are gonna go do that. We're gonna do a quick time lapse. We're gonna get to it real fast. We're going to drain everything, the little fittings on the bottom over there, and then once that's all drained out, start putting everything, or taking everything apart. Once you're done draining, I'm gonna start removing hoses. Move that one on there, then there's one on the bottom. This is already a Evo 456 style radiator, so it's just a straight shot to the thermostat housing. Really easy comparatively to the 789 radiators where they go in front of the manifold, make this big 90-degree curve, and then make another 90-degree curve to the thermostat housing. So, real easy stuff. Just a quick disconnect. That's really it. That hose goes right there, hold up. And then your Evo 789 hose right there fits up just fine. You just pull that off, and then you're able to remove your radiator. So once you've disconnected your fan, you've disconnected your hoses, and in some cases your fitting on the bottom, because the way we routed the piping, you're able to move everything out of the way. Here's the radiator. Now the inside looks pretty rusty. This is my old one. So we're gonna take this fan off. This is the old coolant that came out of it, so it's pretty crusty and rusty. About that time anyway to change it out. Swap in the Koyo, which, if you guys are like me, I really enjoy opening car parts, so this is the favorite part. I'm gonna do something like this. So this is our Koyo Rad Evo 456 radiator. Thickness wise, I'm hoping it's the same thickness as this one. Otherwise that fan's not gonna fit on the wastegate, which means we'll have to have some fun figuring out how we're gonna get it fit. Seems to be the same size. Seems to be the same size. Seems to be the same thickness. This radiator right here is one that I've owned for a really long time. It's seen some miles. The no-name radiator. This radiator, you can tell the welds are done really well. These beads are really great. And you know, I stand behind some Koyo products. Had the half-size radiator when I did forward facing. Really happy to go back to this you know, company's radiator because they do the job. But one of the first few things we're gonna have to do is turn this around and then swap that fan onto here. So we're gonna see if that thing works real fast. After some trimming, got this fan to fit all up against the radiator. Very easy. I just took some wire cutters, some real heavy duty ones, and just trimmed it. It's plastic, ain't that big a deal. Now we just need to see if it's gonna mess with the wastegate plumbing. Joy. You're gonna have to come from the right a little bit and go over. Might just have to move that wastegate. We should be able to, yep, slightly move if necessary. Let's try to go here. All right, so new Koyo radiator didn't fit, which is a bummer. This wastegate pipe was made specifically for this radiator, just with how it is. I might be able to get away with shooting it out the bumper down the road, but for now we'll just use this one. So now we're just going to do a radiator flush. Amazing how a radiator replacement turned into a radiator flush. And if you're curious why I'm bald, a buddy of mine has been going through chemo. I found out over the weekend that he ended up shaving his head. So I just wanted to let him know, you know, hey, they're with you. Didn't want to make him feel so awkward when he came into work. So I think it's safe to say, you know, fuck cancer. Moving forward. To do a radiator flush, obviously everything's drained out. I'm going to fill it up with distilled water and then one of these little flush and cleaner. Try to get rid of all the rust, try to get rid of all the stuff. It seemed like there was a lot of rust that was coming out of the car, and I'm not exactly too happy about that. Not the radiator, you know, it's something inside, you know, the block. Could be a couple other things, but it's also a cast iron, so it's kind of be expected. Someone definitely ran just only water in this motor at one point. And when you do that with cast iron blocks, it's not all that great. There's other stuff you got to do to maintain it and keep it happy, and they didn't do that. So one of these, fill the rest up with distilled water, drive it around for 15 minutes or so, and then let it come up to temp, let it stay at temp, keep driving around, make sure your fans work, and then come back, drain everything out. So let's get to that part. What I found is if you just fill up the radiator all the way, try to get as many bubbles as you can out of the top hose, and then just fill up the coolant reservoir, you know, fairly high. The system will actually pull from the reservoir like it's supposed to, and then you won't have to worry about it. And just drive it around, let it do its thing, and then fill that reservoir back up if needed. I'll pull the car out, I'll start it up, drive around my block a little bit, and come back here and drain everything. It does feel good to be driving this thing again, even if it is to just do a flush. You only want to drive around for like 15 minutes, come back, let it cool down, empty it, drain it, and then see how the water is. If it's pretty rusty, do it again. Also, probably going to do a real in-depth review of that CAE shifter. Just driving around town. Seems like there's a lot of people who are not very well informed. Also, it's just like, hey, I don't want to drop $1,000 on a piece of equipment if it doesn't really work. So I think it works wonderfully. That's just me though. There's plenty of other individuals on the Evo groups and forums that have absolute positive experiences with it. I don't know anybody who actually has had a negative experience with it. So I'm gonna drive around, I'm gonna come back home, and I'll get back to you guys. All right, guys, we got back, took a little shower. I'm starting to kind of feel everything right now. Everything seems to be kind of mad. We're gonna drain this real fast. We're gonna check out the color. It is starting to get nighttime. My work hours aren't exactly as nice as they used to be, so it gets dark kind of fast comparatively to where I'd wake up and I had all day to do stuff. So I'm gonna put a pan underneath, I'm gonna drain everything, and I'm gonna see if, you know, that flush did anything. I know I have to do a couple of these flushes, so I won't be surprised at what happens, but I'm gonna wait for this to drain, and then I'll put some light under it and see what it's really, what color it really is. All right, so that's filled back up. Drained the reservoir, filled it back up. I'm gonna pour that stuff out shortly, but I'm gonna go take her for a spin, get her to operating temp, drive up and down the road, 15 minutes, see what comes out. So between work and a busy weekend schedule, I've been trying to do just a flush a day. So I would drain it, refill it, go for a drive, come back, figure that out. This is kind of what we ended up with. From the right, that was the coolant that originally came out of the car. This is the first flush and cleaner. That looks absolutely disgusting. The second flush, third, fourth, fifth, and then that's what your coolant, that's what my coolant is supposed to look like. Quite the difference. It's a lot of rust and a lot of stuff that's out of the car now. I'm going to refill this thing, some fresh coolant. I'll take all this coolant to an O'Reilly's or AutoZone, Get like a box for it also, that way it doesn't spill out when I'm driving. Dump it off there if they take it. I don't know if they take it, but they should. Also take some of the oil too. So this radiator replacement turned into a radiator flush. Down the road, I'm sure I'll be able to slap in a Koyo, and you know, maybe I'll do something different with the wastegate. Need to put those side skirts on too, which I'll probably end up getting to in another video. Anyway, it is wonderful, wonderful night here in Florida. I absolutely love this state. I absolutely love where I'm at. I'm so happy to be home. It's not even funny. So I'm gonna fill this up with some fresh coolant. I'm gonna get it rolling. We're just that much closer to tuning the Evo. I'm trying to wait on a few other little parts. My idle air control valve took a crap, and then trying to find an OEM one is not that hard to find. It's just more, it's $400. Dream or do, it's up to you. Until next time.